After 19 months on the entrepreneurial journey, I quit. In this video, I'm going to talk about why I decided to leave entrepreneurship and go back to a full-time corporate job. I'll give you a little bit of background before we go into this. I worked in the corporate world for 7 years before I went out on my own in February 2020. In those 7 years, I worked mainly as a product manager in tech. My last job was running an innovation team in the customer experience management space. When I left corporate in February 2020 to become an entrepreneur, my goal was to become a SaaS founder. I wanted to build my own SaaS and start a company. And I also wanted to explore what life was like outside of the corporate world after being in there for 7 years. Despite going on the entrepreneurial journey for 19 months, that never happened, unfortunately. But I ended up testing 6 product ideas, self-publishing a book, building a personal brand on LinkedIn, falling in love with writing, discovering the world of marketing, especially video marketing, hence this video, becoming a freelance writer, actually got paid for my writing, which was really cool, and doing all kinds of speaking engagements and just meeting a lot of people through networking. I'll probably make a video one day about everything that I did on this journey, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of an idea of what I've done for the last 19 months. So now that you have a little bit of that background, I want to talk about exactly why I decided to go back to the corporate world a month ago and how I made that decision. And some of the signs that were telling me that it's probably time for me to go back to a job. You know how they say a startup is about solving a problem before you run out of money? Well, it's actually also about solving a problem and finding something to do before you run out of energy. So one of the biggest signs that I was ready to leave entrepreneurship was that I ran out of energy. After testing 6 different product ideas, pretty much all of them in a different niche, 2 of them were marketplaces, they all just started blurring together. I couldn't really tell what I wanted to do anymore or where the opportunities really were. I'd done too much pivoting between different problem spaces and different opportunities that going for yet another idea or an opportunity just felt really exhausting. I was also getting to a point where execution was becoming harder and harder. I had the ideas coming in, so my ideas tap was really going, but when it came to actually deciding what to execute on, I just couldn't do it anymore. So all these ideas that were popping into my head started to become really exhausting and felt more like pressure as opposed to cool new opportunities that I could work on. And the more ideas I had, the more I felt like a failure because I couldn't execute on any one of them. I kind of just started getting stuck in my head. The discovery, the marketing of it, finding people to work with, and the potential failure, just doing something again without knowing whether it's going to work out at all. And because I'd run out of energy to do this big stuff, I found myself nitpicking on low value tasks. Like I kept redesigning my LinkedIn banners. I kept nitpicking my newsletter welcome email. Like none of these things were going to drive a new business or drive sales for anything that I was doing. But I just found myself retreating to these tiny little tasks that really had no value on the overall success of me as an entrepreneur. Anything bigger than that started to feel too overwhelming. And if I had to pinpoint why I ran out of energy, it's 2 things. The first one, which I kind of touched on before, is I pivoted so much between different problem spaces and different ideas. Every pivot is exhausting because you have to now find a new customer base. You have to learn about that problem space. It's probably a different type of product idea. Like when I was switching from just regular SaaS apps to marketplaces, it's just taxing from an energy perspective. The second part of it is I didn't outsource early enough. I kept doing everything on my own when I should have really outsourced tiny tasks either on Fiverr or Upwork, but I took everything on myself. And over time, I just couldn't do anything anymore because I just depleted my energy resources by doing everything myself instead of outsourcing little things to save energy. The second sign that I was ready to go back to corporate and leave entrepreneurship, at least for now, was I just didn't feel motivated anymore. During the first half of my entrepreneurial journey, I used to love reading founder success stories. It was my favorite thing. I found them so motivating, so inspirational. I felt like there were so many options. People had started SaaS startups, they started paid newsletters, they did partnerships, they bought businesses, they did e-commerce stores. I felt like the possibilities were endless And every story I read just gave me more ideas on what I could possibly do. But in the second half of the journey, I honestly probably didn't read that many founder success stories just because I found them really demotivating. It was almost like all the different options were overwhelming. Reading about all these success stories just started to make me feel impatient and really bitter that I hadn't found that success yet. And a reminder that I was skipping between problem spaces too much, because a lot of these founders had stayed within one problem space for a long time, and that's why they'd had success. But because I was running out of energy and I was demotivated, I kept skipping between opportunities. So I was in this death cycle of basically being totally inefficient as an entrepreneur. I also noticed towards the end of my journey that when people asked me what I was working on, I didn't really want to talk about it anymore. I just felt embarrassed. I felt demotivated. I felt like I was just changing what I was doing all the time, and I didn't want to say what I was working on in case I wasn't going to be working on it in the future. And so I didn't want to share what I was doing anymore, which in the first half of my journey, I was so open. I loved talking about the different projects that I was working on. The worst feeling was when people would tell me, oh, every time I see you, you're working on something different. Maybe some of them thought of it as a good thing, but I'm sure some of them saw it as a bad thing, but they were just being nice. And that was just yet another reminder that I was just cycling between different things and not really clear on what I wanted to work on. So I just felt really embarrassed and very ashamed. The third sign that I was ready to go back to a job and stop with the entrepreneurship thing was I couldn't live in the present moment anymore. I just wasn't living life. I was constantly in my head worrying about what I was supposed to be doing. I couldn't enjoy evenings anymore or weekends. I always felt guilty for not working. And when I wasn't working, I was just worrying. I started spending a lot of time in the dark, under the covers, trying to escape the world, which, if you know me, is completely unlike me. I'm a very happy person. I don't really get depressed. I don't like being in dark rooms. I like being social. But towards the end of my journey, I was starting to get really low and very hermit-like, which is definitely not part of my personality. It also became really exhausting for my husband to watch, which I started to feel really bad about. And then I would feel bad about myself because I was not being a good wife or a good partner, and I was depressing him. And then the whole cycle would start again. What I'd often start doing is trying to get things done really quickly, which doesn't work for an entrepreneur. You really have to bash your head against the wall, read a bunch of stuff online, get some other opinions from other people. You don't just solve things quickly. But I started getting really impatient, and I started doing this thing where I would go into like a 5 to 10 minute thinking interval, like trying to quickly fix things or solve things or come up with ideas or solutions or ways to sell something. Like I'd go shower in a stressed state because I wasn't making enough money or I wasn't selling enough stuff or I didn't really know what I wanted to work on next. So I'd be like, maybe if I just do this, or maybe if I work with this person, or maybe if I just, go after this opportunity, I'll figure it out. I was starting to get impatient. I was grasping at straws, which is a really unsettling feeling. Just over a year into my journey, I went through what's supposed to be the happiest moments of your life. So I got married in May. I got a new apartment with my husband, a gorgeous 3-bedroom. I'm in there right now, but a gorgeous 3-bedroom with a patio. Like, life was good, but honestly, I didn't really feel happy because I was depressed inside because I felt like a failure and I didn't know where I was headed. So I was making all these life choices that were more stabilizing. I was supposed to have an idea of where I was headed in my life, but I didn't know where I was headed career-wise. I had no idea whether I was gonna build a company. Was I gonna go back to work? Was I gonna just become a services person? It was really, really unsettling, and I just couldn't be happy for the good things that were happening in my life. I remember this one Saturday in June. This was obviously towards the last few months of my entrepreneurial journey. My husband and I went to the beach with all our floaties and a barbecue and all this really nice stuff to have a really relaxing day at the beach. On the way to the beach, I couldn't stop just worrying about what to do with my business. Should I be going into coaching? Should I be going into more freelance writing? Should I be going back to a job? So we got to the beach and he went back to the car to get something. And I was so in my head that I was just adamant about recording a video to post on LinkedIn to try and drive more sales or something, or just to build more of my brand so I could monetize it somehow. So I'm recording this video and I'm literally exhausted. I look so bad in the video. And I finally record the video and then I'm trying to post it on LinkedIn, but there's not enough signal at the beach because I'm at a secluded beach. That was the whole point. But there I am getting pissed off because I can't upload this video to LinkedIn. And he came back and he just sees me like battling with my phone. And he's like, what are you doing? Just relax. Like, we're at the beach. It's a Saturday morning. Who cares? But I was just so in my head. I couldn't even like chill out on a Saturday morning going to the beach with my husband. I was just like obsessed with either being on LinkedIn or driving sales or trying to drive the business or whatnot. So it was getting literally in the way of me living my life. The last thing in terms of living in the present moment was the monetary aspect of it. I felt like I just couldn't enjoy my life because I wasn't really making as much income as I could at a job, because I was trying to build myself up as an entrepreneur and start a new business. This was when I was getting into coaching. So I couldn't really go on trips, for example, although I will mention that part was actually masked by COVID, because when I left corporate, it was February 2020, right at the onset of the pandemic. And so pretty much throughout my whole entrepreneurial journey, traveling was not an option, which kind of conveniently worked out because I didn't feel the pain of not being able to really go on as many trips as I wanted to. But towards the end of my entrepreneurial journey, as the pandemic was slowly dying down, I started to really feel that pain. I also couldn't really buy stuff. So I couldn't buy stuff for the new home. I couldn't buy clothes for myself. Again, the clothes thing as well was masked by COVID because we were all at home. So throughout my whole entrepreneurial journey, I didn't really shop because I was at home anyway, so I didn't care. Neither did my husband, so I didn't really feel that. But towards the end, I really started to notice that I felt guilty anytime I spent any money. Even when I went out for like a $30 dinner with my friends, I felt bad because I was calculating, okay, how much do I have to work to now make this up? You know, I really need to quickly build this business and become profitable because I want to start enjoying my life and stuff like that. I just hated that because I was turning 31. I turned 31 in October, but it just felt like I'm not able to do what I want to do in my life that a normal 31-year-old really should be able to do. So I started to become really bitter about that. The fourth reason that I really thought I needed to return to corporate was, and this is totally a personal opinion of mine, not trying to throw shade on anyone who does a service-based business, but I was defaulting to service-based stuff, so to freelancing. Notice when I first went on this entrepreneurial journey, my goal was to build a SaaS product-based company. I wanted to become a founder. I wanted to build a company. I wanted to build a SaaS specifically, because you don't sell your time when you're selling a digital product. But in the end, I was defaulting to services because I was doing freelance writing and I was doing consulting and I was doing coaching and stuff like that, which I was selling my time directly for money. And I just felt like if I'm going to sell my time, I may as well sell my time at a job where I can probably get paid a higher rate than what I can charge right now, being in the early stages of freelance writing or coaching or consulting or whatever. I also really missed working on a team because I was working as a service-based solopreneur. And usually when you're freelance writing for a company, you're not working with a team, you're just doing your own work and handing it in. I really missed that collaboration aspect and the social aspect of working on a team. When you're working in a job, I feel like every day someone expresses their satisfaction with what you're doing. Either you sent a really good email, maybe you gave a good presentation, maybe you explained something really well to a colleague. You don't get that as a solopreneur. There's no validation. The only validation is when the money comes. And honestly, it's not enough until you've really built up this crazy business and you can actually work when you want, which comes way later. Basically, I just felt like becoming a freelancer wasn't why I quit the corporate world. And it took me a while to internalize that, but that really tortured me for a couple months, especially because the whole freelancing thing was an intermediary step that I wanted to take before I could come up with another SaaS idea or regain energy to actually build a SaaS startup. So that was the other piece of it. I'm kind of going to go back to the whole energy thing that I talked about in the beginning, but I just felt like I didn't have the energy to now do the freelancing thing until I came up with another idea. So that meant I would have to go through the whole freelancing business, build that up, and then go through another revolution to start a SaaS startup. I just didn't have the energy because that was like a couple years at least out, right? And I was already completely depleted from an energy perspective. The fifth reason that I started to really notice that it's probably time for me to go back to the corporate world is social media started to really piss me off. By that point, towards the end of my journey, I had become a total slave to social media, especially LinkedIn. When you're working on a service-based business, A lot of people drive their sales and their client acquisition through LinkedIn, and it's usually by posting content. For some reason, I'd set up this requirement with myself that I had to post content every day, and I wasn't really recycling or repurposing content a lot because I, again, just didn't have the energy for it. Ironically, I was just losing that efficiency, if you can notice. So I became a slave to social media. I was getting really obsessed with engagement, always measuring, like, am I getting more engagement? Am I getting less engagement? Am I getting enough comments? Am I getting enough likes? What about these other people? Oh, why is this other post getting engagement? Mine's better. Am I not good enough? Why am I not driving sales? I just started getting really, really obsessed and addicted to social media because it was so closely tied to the success of my business, or so I thought. I don't know if that was true, but that was how I saw it. I have to be successful on social media because the more successful I was, the more inbound inquiries I got. And I don't really believe in cold pitching and cold emails and stuff. I prefer the opportunities and leads to come to me. And so I really had to drive that and create that machine, and it was just getting exhausting. And I just couldn't watch everyone's highlight reel anymore. It started to really get to me and make me feel really insecure. Like I said, posts that got engagement I didn't think should have gotten engagement, consultants or freelancers that were getting a lot of business and I didn't really maybe think that they should have, and I felt like I should be getting more business, and just started becoming a really, really toxic platform for me. Although I will say, even though posting every day was a mistake, it was kind of actually a blessing in disguise, because I think the fact that it eroded my energy brought me closer to this point at 19 months where I decided, you know what, I think I need to go back to corporate. Had I not depleted my energy resources so much by posting every day, it might have taken me longer to return to corporate. And I honestly think that at the 19-month point was plenty enough time. I'd done enough with the entrepreneurial stuff. I'd really lived that life and gotten that experience. I was ready to go back. So I'm grateful that, I ran out of energy basically. The sixth and final sign that made me realize I need to go back to corporate was the fact that I became more and more interested, or even solely interested, in individual tasks. For example, writing. All I wanted to do was really write on my blog, write on Medium, and write on LinkedIn. I also became really interested in video editing. I wanted to create videos and post them on YouTube or post them on LinkedIn and just enjoy the creation process as well as the writing process. But the problem is, when you attach monetization to an activity, that pressure makes the activity less fun. A lot of people have talked to me about that. And a lot of entrepreneurs have mentioned that they go off on their own to do something they love, but because they feel the pressure to make money off of it and drive sales off of it and get success from it, it becomes less fun because you can't really enjoy the creation process anymore, and you can't enjoy cultivating those skills because you have this pressure to produce at a certain cadence and drive certain metrics and results for your business. And it just destroys the Zen state of mind that I prefer to have when I'm creating. I felt like I had to really rush the creator process, which made me really bitter. And I felt like I wasn't getting better at it. I was just shipping stuff for the sake of it. And again, I'm not a perfectionist. I'm not saying I want to, spend 3 years on an article to perfect it. But it's like, I want to spend an extra day if I really want to figure out a better way to structure the sentence or the paragraph, or spend another day researching how to make a better YouTube outro or researching a new tool. I wanted to be able to increase my skills, but I felt like I couldn't do that anymore with the pressure of monetization. Basically, the bottom line is I didn't want to drive sales anymore. I just wanted to enjoy what I was doing and do it for fun without feeling like there had to be an outcome, a metric that I was driving, and some kind of addictive number that I was chasing after endlessly. And I was tired of working on the admin side of stuff, figuring out invoicing, figuring out different tools for how to do things that I really didn't care about. But the thing is, when you're a solopreneur, an entrepreneur, you have to do the full scope of activities that are required for you to start a business. So that was kind of a sign where I was like, you know what? If I go back to a full-time job, I'll have that stability, I'll have that stable income, and on the side, in my own time, I can make videos, I can write, I can give presentations, I can do what I want to do on my own time and on my own terms without any pressure. So that was where I realized, you know what? I think it's time for me to end this journey. I've learned so much. I'm so grateful, but I think it's time for me to go back to some stability and be able to do what I love on the side as a hobby. So finally, in September 2021, just about a month ago, when an awesome opportunity to return back to corporate fell into my lap, I took it without hesitation. I was so relieved. I went on my 3-week vacation to Croatia and Tunisia to visit family and celebrate our wedding in the end of September. And I felt so good knowing that I was gonna go back to a full-time job. I was actually really excited and really motivated to go back and climb the corporate ladder, even though I left the corporate world sort of bitter about climbing the corporate ladder. We have different opinions over our lifetime based on our experiences. And now that I've seen the other side of it, I really, really appreciate the corporate world, and I'm really happy to be back. I want to be clear about one thing though. Even though my entrepreneurial journey was pretty painful, sometimes really lonely, and I didn't end up building the SaaS startup that I set out to build, I do not regret any of it. If I could go back, I would literally do it all over again. It's been the most character building experience and the journey of a lifetime. It has changed me, and I've learned so much. Even though I didn't succeed, as we like to call it, I don't know why I did 3 there, but it's really, really instilled a different kind of confidence in me. And having kind of dragged myself through the mud as an entrepreneur, I have a new sense of grit and a new sense of motivation, I think, to be back in the corporate world, knowing what the other side looks like. I just feel the need to be very honest about what the last few months of the entrepreneurial journey have been for me, and exactly why I decided to go back to the corporate world. Partially because I really want to normalize this. A lot of entrepreneurs, as I've learned in the past week, are really embarrassed to go back to the corporate world. They go back with their tail between their legs and they worry about the stigma attached to it. And honestly, it's not fair. So I want to just normalize that and show that going back to corporate after you've been an entrepreneur is a personal choice. It can be a smart decision. You come back with a whole new set of skills that, by the way, people in the corporate world actually really appreciate. I've been really shocked and impressed by how people who I'm working with right now really respect the journey I've been on, and they don't think it was just a stupid thing that I did. So it's really valuable experience. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's something that you should be proud of. Maybe one day I will go back to entrepreneurship. I hope so. But for now, I feel really at home in the corporate world again. And I'm just excited to share all my learnings from entrepreneurship and my lessons with the world in hopes of helping other people. Thank you so much for watching this entire video. If you liked it, it would really mean a lot to me. If you like it, leave a comment. Are you an entrepreneur? Have you been an entrepreneur? Are you in corporate? I want to hear from you. And if there are any other videos that you want me to make about my entrepreneurial journey, about my return to the corporate world, be sure to let me know in the comments. So thank you. See you next time.